Have jello when it was 65 degrees outside. Put it in a hole about 2 foot, about 2 foot deep, and we have cherry jellos. Happy that it's put together. It's gonna, even though there's some cracks and gaps and stuff, it's gonna be a solid piece of wood bench for a very long time. Welcome to Time by the Tent and another weekend here up at the land. Came up here, drove up here through rain right at the last 30 minutes of the trip. It has rained here. This will all soak in this very porous, sandy, loomy soil up here. Some thunder off in the background, but that's all going the opposite direction. Got to get stuff out of the car. I've opened the tent up to get air circulation. It's supposed to be a very warm weekend. It's supposed to be the warmest weekend of the year so far. 82 or something for a high today. Coming in, it was 76, and then when the rain hit, it got down. Now it's 64. And tomorrow it's supposed to be 82, 83, and some storms supposedly making their way through tonight about 1:30 in the morning. Whether they hold together or not, no one knows. So I do have some projects. I got to get stuff out of the car, but I do have projects. The trees that I dropped last week and bucked up over here is still laying here, and I will pick those up and stack those on the wood pile. I am going to attempt to do Dutch oven pizza tonight. If that doesn't work, I've got baked potatoes as a backup. And then I got to clean a spot out for the hammock. And tomorrow's project, I would like to complete this bench. I still got to go cut another chunk of wood for the back. So that is the potential agenda for the weekend. And if you followed along, sometimes I get everything done. And other times I do not get much done because of this job took longer than anticipated. So that is where I'm at. I'm just looking at the log here. This is the top, 14 inches wide. It's really gotten moldy since last week right there. That's interesting. What's this side look like? Yeah, same thing. So it's got some fungus growing on it, some mushrooms, spores or something like that. But we'll get that all taken care of. I do have kindling inside. I do have a big bag of old mail. Basically junk mail and brochures and stuff. That will help get the fire going. In the orange bin over there, I have firewood that is dry. It is dry firewood for this particular situation. So happy you've tuned in and joining me this weekend. I'm going to sit in the tent just a little while longer. I think the rain is still, it's still coming down through the trees a little bit, but we'll get this thing going. All right, with a little persistence and kindling and old mail, we got the fire nice and roaring. Trying to get a good base of coals because that's how I'm gonna. It's part of the procedure if you've never made pizza in a Dutch oven before. You got to get it in the coals, not in the heat. So it's a trial and error thing for tonight. But I got to get this going. I got to go get the dough made. I'll show you what I'm doing on that, and it's got a set for it. It says 5 minutes. I'm going to give it an hour. I'm not going to put the flag up from emflag.com today. I'll put it up in the morning tonight. Again, we're supposed to have rain come through, and I don't want a wet flag because I'm going to take it down in a couple hours tomorrow anyway. Now, if you followed the program last week, one of the first things I did was puncture the base and the bottom of the locking foam and get the water to drain. It has rained this week, and no water has accumulated in the bottom of that pole, so that problem has been solved. Okay, so this is the thin and crispy pizza crust mix, Walmart, 78 cents. And it says I need half a cup of water and hot water and a tablespoon of the vegetable oil, which I have that. I got vegetable oil. And I will get some hot water warmed up on the fire out there. And then we will mix this. It says to let it set for 5 minutes. It gives instructions on how to cook it in the oven, because most people cook in the oven and not over the campfire. And then I was reading reviews, and some people said let it sit for an hour, not 5 minutes, to get the most out of the dough. Now, if this works good, the next time I do it, I will, and if it's not as thick crust as I want it, I can add a little yeast and let it sit for that hour as well. So we will get hot water, and then we'll get this going. Okay, I got my water hot. Now, we mix. I have no flour, because that was one thing I forgot. I do have pancake mix, which I'm not going to use as a non-sticking agent. I'm just going to use this vegetable oil. So I've got it where I want it, and I'm going to let it set, cover it, and let it set for about an hour, and then stretch it, preheat the cast iron, the Dutch oven. Oh yeah, there we go. Preheat the Dutch oven when the time comes, and prep the vegetables in the meantime, and we'll get this pizza going. The vegetables, the peppers, and onions have been cut. I am pre-cooking them. 1, to get some of the moisture out of them, and 2, so they're cooked. I'm mimicking off of Cody and Kelly's Adventure, I think it is. They used to be Dome Life. It used to be Dome Life. I'll put that link in the description below on how they made theirs. That's kind of how I'm mimicking mine. I do have tomatoes, cherry tomatoes. I'm not pre-cooking them, because if I do, they're going to turn into a paste. The way I'm intending this to work, cook these down till the onions are translucent, which means the peppers are pretty much where I want them to be. Then I will preheat the Dutch oven. I've coated it with oil. I'll coat it with oil again, preheat it. While that's preheating, I will stretch out the dough and then transfer it into the Dutch oven. Now, if you have wax paper, that's ideal, but I don't. And I'm not going to use aluminum foil, because I don't think that's going to work right. So I'm just going to do what other people have done and just put it right in the Dutch oven. And then I'll cook it over indirect heat or coals for 10 minutes, or until the pizza dough starts to bubble. I'll pull it off of the heat, put my Alfredo sauce. It's going to be a vegetable pizza, because I'm just trying to see if this is going to work the way I want it to before I invest in a whole lot of ingredients. Put the Alfredo sauce, put the peppers, onions, tomatoes, cover it with cheese, put it back over coals, let it cook for about another 10 minutes, or until the cheese has fully melted and encapsulated the vegetables, and then figure out how to get it out of the Dutch oven and serve it up. That's what the procedure should be. Whether it goes that way or not, I don't know yet. The vegetables, the onions are translucent, peppers are tender. I re-stoked it just to try to get more burned down before I put the actual dough crust in the cast iron. I'm going to put the cast iron over next to the fire here in order to get that warmed up, and then I'll go in and start stretching the dough in order to get it close to what I need to put inside. Now, this is a 10-inch crust, or cast iron, so it's going to be a little thicker crust than what normally, 12 or 14, obviously. So it'll be a thicker crust, so that'll be fine, and we're getting closer here. We'll see how this turns out. overcast. It's muggy. It's not hot. It's just humid. Um, so it's much cooler than what anticipated. I am working between cooking the onions and peppers. I'm working on getting the limbs, getting the chunks in which I cut down the tree that I bucked in order to break them down so I'm stack them. That'll all be burned tonight or tomorrow. That won't be a problem. And I've still got that much of a pile, if not more, over there in wood to drag over here, which just right there, 20 yards maybe. So I'll get this next to the fire and get that warming up. Thank you for coming along. Appreciate you being with me this weekend as we figure out how well doing pizza in the Dutch oven can do. If I can get the dough to cook or to start to bubble, then I know we're in good shape because the toppings and everything, that's easy. So getting the dough stretched and getting at that point. So I've got it preheated to where I think I want it. I'm not sure how much I need to preheat. Alright, so I stretched this out in the pie pan. Now I'm just going to stretch it out a little bit more. Try to get it about the same thickness all the way around, which is be a little difficult. Now, so far, this dough has worked very, very well. It's fairly close there. I'm about a 1/4 inch off, and I'm going to think it's going to puff a little bit. So, let's go with that. I'm going to put it in the fire and put coals on top of it. Why, I don't know, but everybody says you put coals on top of it. So, that's what I'll do. Take some of these hot coals, move over here. And then I will wipe those off before opening. So we'll check on that in about 7 minutes. Alright, let's check on this dough crust, see what we got. Yeah, it's cooking. It's not bubbled yet. It's not bubbling yet, so we'll give it some more time. Probably another, I'll get another 4 minutes, put some more coals on top. Okay, kind of had an oopsie with the crust here. It's still a little gummy, and I don't want to continue to bake it. The bottom, it looks good. That looks the way it needs to be, but the top here is still gummy. And I've lost part of the, and that's not terrible, it is gummy. Whew. So I'm going to put that back together the best I can. I'm going to put a little cheese on that, try to seal that up. And then put it back in the fire to try to get it to cook better. And with the toppings on it and call it good and try to figure out how I can make it better next time. So I'm going to get the Alfredo. I'm going to put some cheese down first, try to lock that in. Get some Alfredo as the sauce, and then add the peppers and onions and then the tomatoes and cook it until the cheese melts. Okay, so I put the cheese down, the Alfredo sauce, tomatoes, the onions and peppers, and now I'm adding more cheese. It's going to kind of maybe be one of these pizzas to eat with a fork, I don't know. And then I'm going to put it on the fire in order to get that cheese to kind of melt and warm the sauce up and get it out of the pan and see what it looks like. Alright, well there that be. Give it a minute here, it's kind of all over the place, but first attempt. That's the part that was falling apart. So I'm going to let that set for a minute and then I'll cut it in 4 pieces and see how that looks. Well, something's got a crunch to it, so that's good. You know, the dough is still a little gummy. Probably 15% gummy. But overall, that's the part that... So right now, what I would do different would be get that same pizza dough crust and add a package of yeast to it in order to get it to fluff up more, to rise more, so it swells in the Dutch oven better. Then I got to figure out how to get, and maybe that's the portion of putting coals on top in order to cook from the top down. I don't know how that works, you tell me. In order to get that dough more crisp, in order to get it, and maybe I need my coals hotter in order to really bake that in. But that is not bad looking, and I'm sure it's not going to be bad tasting. So I'm going to enjoy this, and I'll let you know afterwards on a 1 to 10 what we're looking at. Okay, so the pizza, it was better than expected. When I cut it, I thought it was going to be kind of chewy on the inside. It really wasn't. The only thing that would be different that I would change would be the cheese. Add different type of cheese on top, and maybe mozzarella. I think I had Kobe Jack. Very good pizza. Definitely will do it again, and change it up with pepperoni or sausage or venison or something like that. So now what I'm going to do is, it's currently 67 degrees in the tent. It's supposed to get down to about 62 tonight. Going to try to make more jello. Cherry jello here. Now, about a month ago, I made jello and just sat it right there, and it was cool enough at night. I think it was like 45, and it formed. It did fine. About 2 months ago, during turkey camp, I did it inside the tent when the nights was about 45 degrees. Tonight, 62. So, what I'm going to do is make the normal jello, 1 cup of hot water, 1 cup of cold water. I'm going to put it in a plastic container, and then over here where I dug the hole and tried to find water and that whole story, if you follow it, I'm going to wrap it in 2 Walmart bags and bury it and cover it up and see if the chill of the earth will allow the jello to form. Another way, and if this works, this will be another way that you could possibly make jello off-grid or on a camping trip. I know state parks, you can't really dig a hole or anything like that, but if you're on your own property, so we'll see how that works in the morning. I'm just going to use this yogurt container and put the lid on it and wrap it twice with a Walmart bag and good to go. But yeah, pizza definitely was good, better than I expected, turned out very, very well, very fulfilling, and I'm getting water boiling right now, and if anything changes or exciting happens tonight, I will let you know. Calling for some rain tonight. I don't know how big of a deal that's going to be, but it's supposed to clear out. It's supposed to be a nice day tomorrow, so we will tackle the bench tomorrow. And over there, I'm gonna clean out an area for the hammock. So that'll be 2 easy jobs. I did get all the wood brought over, that of the trees that I cut down. That's kind of the upper portion there, and then this is all the limbs in which I will burn a little bit tonight and tomorrow. So certainly thank you for hanging out with me, and I will see you in the morning. I'm going to put a little dirt on it, not much, just to seal it. And we'll let it set. We'll see it in the morning. Good morning. Didn't rain last night as they had predicted. It's still very, very humid. Still a lot of moisture on the leaves and a big wind, and it feels like it's raining in the woods again. I will put up the flag from emflag.com momentarily. I'm going to fix French toast. I don't think I showed this to you about a month ago when Holly was here, she did it over this camp stove, which is the same camp stove we use to heat the water for the shower. But to do it over the campfire, it's just so inconsistent and uncontrolled that it just doesn't turn out really well. So I got it leveled out here, and just going to make French toast. You know what that's like. Just showing you the setup here. Then I will get the flag put up. I will check the jello, and then I'll get working on the hammock area over there, and the bench will be when things maybe dry out a little bit more to get over there to cut the back. So there's less stuff I gotta fight through and slippery and all that. So happy you're with me. And just using store-bought bread here, sliced Italian bread and butter and eggs. I gotta get the cinnamon. I don't add anything else. I just put the egg in I'm using the baking pans, which we use as plates. Works very well if you are in a permanent campsite situation or car camping. Very durable. The nice thing about these metal plates are they're sturdy, and if you are plating up over the fire, you can put it right on the fire or on the rock here, and it doesn't burn like a paper plate would, or styrofoam plate. So, and we get them at Goodwill for like 99 cents. I don't pay the $1.99 ones. Just make sure let's see, this one is Baker's Secret, Wilson's. I got some Betty Crocker's. They're 9-inch pie pans, so really good thing to have. Got that ideal from Brooke Whipple of Girl in the Woods. We watch her, and that's what she uses, and that'd be a very good reusable, firm item to use for the campsite. And I think we've got 8 or 9 of them, so we can throw them in a bag, take them home, clean them, leave the clean ones here. I am using Excalibur Cinnamon Toast to mix in with the eggs. It's from Walton's Incorporated. They're a sponsor of our Garden Talk radio show, and there is a coupon code. I'll put that on the screen. They have everything but the meat if you're interested in seasoning, spicing, tools, butchering items. They got everything that you possibly could need except for the meat. So really good spices, seasonings they have available. Okay, let's check on the jello here. Let's see what we have. Did it form in the ground? Alright, let's open it up together. It did. We have jello when it was 65 degrees outside. Put it in a hole about 2 foot, about 2 foot deep, and we have cherry jello. So it can be done. Now, I don't know if it can be done in the south when it's 119 degrees, or in Vegas or anything like that, but here in the Northwoods, we can make jello in the middle of the summer without a refrigerator when you bury it in the ground. So, very excited that procedure worked. It would not have worked if I had just set it out, because it was 67 in the tent last night, and you need like chilled temperatures. So, definitely a success for for jello in an off-grid situation. Also did put up a flag from emflag.com. Looks good there as the sun beams off of it. Wind is starting to pick up now. Calling for 83. I don't know if I'll get that. Very comfortable right now, but very muggy. But just a really quiet night, quiet evening. Very enjoyable. I got all of the trees, the 2 trees that I cut down last week, was in that area there, and dropped and bucked, picked up and moved over to the wood pile. Now, this general area right here between that tree and that tree is going to be where the hammock is going to go. We did have it last year between that tree and that tree, but now we have the shower there, rinse-off area. This will be better. This will get it, and when we had it in that area, it was across the archery lane at the 30-yard marker. So this will get it out of the way. Very nice area. So all I'm going to do is take the rake and start working, I guess cleaning the area out and get it all the leaves out of there, and then come in with a sickle, or vice versa. I'm not going to level it off. I'm not going to spend time leveling off. I'm just going to make sure there's a safe path to and from it, and let everything else be. Alright, got that completed. I did need to do some landscaping as you come off the trail here. There's a pretty good cavern crater right through there, so I did take and open that up a little bit and fill that in. This is a Wise Owl Outfitter hammock. Got it off Amazon. I'll link that in the description below. It served us well. I'm going to enjoy it in a little bit here, and then move on to making or working on putting together that bench as the final project for today. So the process of making this bench is going to be followed by the making of that bench, where I have it notched underneath, and then the side post will be split down the center and then come over, and I figured about 10 inches of elevation from above the seat. I don't know how true that's going to be. Either way, I'm still going to put a back on it, even though the back would be kind of in the lumbar area, unless I figure out a different way to do it. But I want to get this here to that stage there, and then I can figure out what I need to do for a back. Last night when it was just about dark, I went ahead and placed the post, or the side rails, whatever you want to call it, and then spaced it out. So now I'm going to mark this and then cut the two out and set that inside of that, see how level it is, because I know that's going to be a challenge. I'm working with non-conventional lumber with a chainsaw, not a mill, so everything's not going to be precise at all, but I'm going to try to get as close as possible. So now that's the next step. Well, now that looks pretty good there. It's a little but wobbly, but once I secure it with fasteners, that should take the wobble out. Now I need to figure out about this back deal. because the problem being the back is going to be right at your lumbar, and I really want it to be up here. So I got to figure, I do want a back on it, but I don't want a back to where you're going to set into it and your rear end's going to be right up against it. So let me do some figuring and I'll get back with you. Okay, so what I have done here is, if you follow the program last week, the sideboards, or the logs there, were 28 inches. Now looking back on it, they need to be about 40 inches in order to do what I wanted to do. However, the 28-inch logs were just about over what my capabilities of moving and handling them were. So adding another 12 inches of heavy, thick wood, it just was not, even now looking back, oh, I should have cut them 40. There's no way I could have handled them. So cutting the logs to get the seat to fit in there, I took and brought those up and then fastened them to the top of the log, and it is very, very firm. I put about 4 nails, 3, 4, 5-inch nails, I think they're 4-inch nails in there. Firms it up very nicely. Same on that side. Now, and then I put, as you saw, I put a long 5-inch nail in the seat on both sides to secure it down. Now, there is a gap there. Okay, fine, so what? It's a log bench. Just the way it's going to be. Same thing on this side over here. There's a little lip there. Okay, fine, whatever. But this gets me to the height in which the back needs to be to have a back on the thing, on the bench. So I think I'm going to go cut a piece off the same log over there. I'll bring you along. I don't think I'm going to have to square this up. I think, you know, also I've thought before and it's been wrong. Since this is at an angle, that's at an angle, I believe I can fix the back on without having to do any more trimming, and then this would be complete. You'll have a back on it, you can lay on it, you can dance on it, whatever you want. Probably drive a truck on it, you'd be fine. So that is what I'm going to do. As you can see over there, it's kind of got a slant to it. So this actually is going to work in my benefit because I squared everything off. But whenever I cut these, apparently they were a little wonky, or whatever the case is, and they both got the same slant to them. So, one of them happy accidents, as Bob Ross says. All right, I'll meet you over at the log over there, and I will cut a piece that will compensate or will work for the back. All right, back here. Now where the chainsaw is, this board here, that's the seat. The seat, I cut this in half last week. I was thinking about cutting 7 foot that way, but this is kind of a little mucky there, and I'm only going to go a little bit there. So what I think I'm going to do is, I've got a nice tree right behind us here. This here. So I think what I'll do is I'll come down, I'll clean it up there, see what it looks like, come down 7 foot 7 inches, cut it there, and then put it up here and finish cutting it. I think that's what I'll do because I've got so much brush and debris there. And split it in half, and that would be the back for what I need, assuming that it is solid on the inside. Okay, what the information I just shared with you, scratch that. That one tree was the right diameter to split in half, but it was mucky and mushy inside. Not going to be good for a back stump or a backrest. The tree that the bench has come from, I was in the process of cutting another 2-inch piece this wide, but I got about 6 inches in, and the blade needs to be changed because it's really dull now for whatever reason. And I thought, that doesn't make any sense for me to cut a 7.5 foot long 14-inch wide piece when I'm going to split it in half. So I'm just going to go down to the bottom of the hill. I know there's a pine tree down there that's about 5 inches in diameter, which would be ideal for what I want. Split it in half and then attach it to the back here, and that will be what I need. Practically, that is the right move to make, instead of spending a half hour splitting a board in half, in which I'm going to split in half again and dispose of the other half that I just split. So that's what I'm going to do. Sometimes you got to change mid-project to better benefit the project itself. But boy, that is a very big bench. 7 foot wide at the seat, and then when you add the other portions on, you're looking at almost 8 foot. Looks nice though. So let me switch chains out. I'll get down there and we'll get this thing taken care of. Going to take and split it in the shade, not in the sun. Alrighty. I think the chain is getting dull, but with the pine it's much easier to cut, and boy, that looks just about, I don't know if you can tell. Let's see if you can get a shot at this. Pretty straight. There's some ebbs and flows, but for a chainsaw freehand, I'm very pleased with that. So I'll bring that up. I'll take that up. I'll knock the barbs off of it with the axe. I'm not sure what I'll do with... I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that piece. There's one spot there that is a little rough. Let's see if I can get you where I cut in. Where I cut in and then had to back out. But overall, I'm not sure. I kind of want to save that for whatever purpose. I'll throw that to the side. I'll get that next week. And then that tree that's dropped there, that'll be firewood I can pick up next week. Next week's supposed to be a little less humid. We're shooting at right now 82 degrees with a dew point about 70. So it's very muggy, but I grew up in southern Illinois. This is the way it was from April to October any given day. So people in Wisconsin aren't accustomed to this kind of weather from what I'm aware. This looks like it's going to work the way I want it to. At completion, it will look like that. Now I just got to fixate. I got to fix the back on there somehow. It's a little off, but not terrible. So let me get that figured out, how I'm going to do this. I've got to pre-drill the holes anyway. And I think I'm going to put a nail on each side and then a couple of screws, and I think that's going to be good. So the bench is complete. I added a couple more 5-inch nails on the top pillars here. Put 3 5-inch nails in the back. It's got a good slant to it. The seat's comfortable. It's like you're sitting on a park bench. It's 6 foot inside to inside, 6 foot, 11.5 inches long. Outside to outside is like 7, almost a foot long, about 7.5, 7 foot 7. Extremely heavy. Happy that it's put together. It's gonna, even though there's some cracks and gaps and stuff, it's going to be a solid piece of wood bench for a very long time. So very happy. You can lay down on it, you can stretch out on it, but it's got that back, and that's the important part. And I'll bring you around back here. I didn't peel the bark off of it at all. I just left it as is. So very, very pleased with it. That project is done, and it's a nice addition to the campsite. Kind of picking things up here, getting ready to head out in a little bit. I bring battery charger up, and then with the extra power I have left over, I'll charge the battery at the tent here for the security camera. Just add extra power so I know it's not going to go out on a Monday night, and then I have to wonder, okay, is everything okay up there until I get up here on a Saturday or Friday afternoon. I need to take the fitted sheet off of here because I found that I have a camouflage one that I was not aware of, digging through, and I was looking for other things. So I will get that out. You don't need to see that, but just telling you what is being done here, and we'll get things wrapped up. Forgot to show you, I had sweet corn and hot dogs for lunch, and getting ready to head out. Got the security camera turned on. Appreciate you coming along with me on this edition of the this weekend up at the tent. Got the bench done. What else did we do? Oh, got the wood picked up, got the hammock done. Those were the important things. So if you made it this far, I appreciate that. Why don't we put log in the comments below? Let me know you made it this far. And until next time, I'll see you then.